Well, wouldn't you know it? Another trick pre-market. Well, there you guys have it. We start coming down in the after hours, and what do we do at the open? We rip higher, of course, and it looks like we're continuing that trend. Let's take a look here at the Qs. We can go to the SPY also. SPY also coming down with the release of the minutes. The Fed minutes getting released at 2 p.m. Anything unexpected coming out? No, nothing unexpected. The Fed members kind of battling each other on where interest rates should go at the end. But of course, all of them kind of agreed to kind of more be on that kind of pause and just wait and see kind of mode. But we all know that they're still looking at 50 more basis points for interest rates. Of course, this can come in 2 meetings of 25 basis points or maybe 1 meeting of 50 basis points. We don't really know. Or maybe it's 25, another pause, and then another 25 later down the line. That's one thing that we're all trying to figure out. We'll have to keep watch to see what happens. But the SPY ripping higher today and continuing the strength. So we need to talk a little bit about that. We can take a look at the daily outlook. It doesn't look like we're coming back into this spot. I was wondering, were we going to come down there towards that 441, start breaking down? Well, we did it in the pre-market. Couldn't get into that box, rejected it, and coming right back up to the upside. Looks like we want maybe to even continue through this 440, even going up to maybe 450s, 460s, 470s. I mean, 480 is not too far in reach, right? We could be just riding this AI bubble a little bit higher. Let's go to, of course, some of the bigger names in the AI space. Of course, we can take a look at NVIDIA. And what does NVIDIA do today? Pushes right back to the upside, even though it had a little bit of a frustrating kind of a Monday. There you guys see it holding on and could make another lift higher here out the gates. So one thing I can clearly see on the hourly chart, this is holding in here right there to see if it gets another step up towards the 430s and 433s. Could be back up towards 438s. We'll just have to keep an eye out on stocks like NVIDIA. Take a look at Apple today. Apple actually kind of in the red here from the open. And this is a little bit interesting. Will we get a little bit of a rip here towards the end on Apple going higher? We'll keep an eye on it. Microsoft deep into the green. That doesn't do too bad from the open. Of course, this was leaking in the pre-market. And you can see that also in a name like Google, leaking pre-market and then ripping higher into the open. So these not looking too bad. Meta also having a really good day up there towards 297, 298s, almost to the 300 fill. If you would have told me that Meta was doing a gap fill all the way back into this gap towards 300 when this was down at 100, yeah, I would have probably told you, what are you smoking, man? But look at that now as Meta going higher and higher into that 300. And for a while, what was the concern with Meta all along? It was the advertising game, right? Lower spending on advertising. And then the focus going into the metaverse. Well, you guys see it. Seems like that's been all pushed to the side as Meta goes higher. So we'll see if this can continue ripping. But the big boys are doing the strength, doing the lift. Today at the open, we saw a lot of stocks going down. We saw the bigger stocks holding the market up. Tesla today, not a bad day, right back up there towards the 281s and kind of holding in. I was looking at this pattern a little earlier. It's a nice little flag pattern. It pushed right back up there. Well, look how Tesla continues to climb higher. But these bigger names holding in. Now Amazon just slightly getting into the green here. It's been kind of a little bit of a mixed day there for Amazon. It did try to get a lift earlier. I don't mind it, especially if it can close above the 130.50s. This is going to be looking good for a nice little continuation off the 9 EMA, back up through 132. We'll have to just keep an eye out on Amazon to see if it can keep trugging along. All right, let's keep going. We'll get into some other outlook here. And of course, we could take a look at my swing trades, but I'm just going through the market. In a second, we'll get into my trades here. I got about, not looking too bad. We got about 5 of them in the green. One of them kind of break even, and then one in the red. Let's talk a little bit about those names and see what we got. All right, let's get into one name here. Let's take a look at some of these. Let's go towards the first one. We'll talk a little bit about some oil names. Let's get into that outlook. Of course, this is one of my biggest kind of calls in the market right now. I've been looking for oil to come right back down, come back into the 108.50s, and then cut right back to the downside. Today, we actually cut through right back through that 108, back down towards 106.50s. And I added on the action on Monday. So not looking too bad on this swing trade. Of course, I've already taken some profits. So this did come down from an entry around 108.50s down to 107.92s. But that gave me the ad and now into the green, up about 1.26%. Going to look to see if this can come back down towards like kind of that 104. If I can get to 104, I'm going to take the next half off and then just keep that runner going. We'll see what happens on XOM. All right, how we doing out there? It's good to see you guys in the chat. Want to catch up with you guys. Of course, oil starting to crack a little bit today. Let's take a look at WTI. I always talk about how that's my kind of indicator for the market. And I've also talked about how this 72 is such an important resistance area where we reject it. Today, we tried to get up 1, 2, 3. We're about to do the fourth attempt to get up above that 72. So I'm going to keep an eye out on WTI to see if it does turn right back down. And that's going to be a major stock to kind of keep an eye out for, right? The future, what will happen in the oil stocks, of course. And Oxy coming down today, Chevron coming down today. It doesn't look good in these oil names. We'll see if they come crashing down. But catching up with you guys in the chat, EKS, what's going on? Kevin, Easy Mike, it's good to see you guys out there. Leonard, what's going on? DWAC going back to 20, looks like it. I saw a lot of stocks bouncing today. DWAC Insanity coming back. Yeah, it looks like it. It's not really a stock that I'd trade, but something to keep an eye out for. EKS, what's going on? How we doing out there? What you looking at? All right, let's go take a look into other stocks, of course. We can take a look. We've talked about some oil names. Let's get into my other swings that I have. One doing really well. Let's get into the top swing trade right now, which has been QuantumScape. And this continues to just ride higher. So I talked about how I got into this one as it cut down into the 7s, added right below those 680s, got towards like the 695 average, took some profits into the 8 on that Friday. Now we're going higher towards 862. I'm up 23.83% on this position and trying to ride this continue to go higher, right? I think the next resistance for me is going to be kind of that 940, 950s. And then from there, I think we can get 10 and 12s. So let's see. Next stop, 950s, 10 gets us 11. And then maybe we take off all of it around like kind of the 11s, 1150s going into that 12. I wouldn't mind it. It's been a really good move there in QuantumScape. And of course, why am I going after this? A lot of it after the Toyota mention. I've talked about this multiple times as they made what mentions? Solid state battery. And that's why I'm going after QuantumScape. We'll see if this can continue to run. And look at the lift that it's had. That's pretty strong. I'm going to keep holding this. This has been over 9 days. This has been about an 11-day hold, 15 days, now going on to about 2 weeks. So we'll look to see if this can continue just climbing higher. And these are the stocks that I really like because what is it doing? It's just in my portfolio and continuing to rise in value. This is what really pushes my equity wave higher in the swing trading. All right, let's keep going to the next one here. Let's go to an interesting one on the day. It was actually lagging. Now starting to get a lift is BJ, of course. And you guys know I've been thinking about BJ as I've been seeing Costco and Walmart go higher. Costco up there to 540s. Walmart up there to 158. So I said, I'm going after BJ here. Not looking too bad from 63.06. Looks like it wants to keep running higher up there towards the 64s. We'll look to see if this gets to the 66 and then finally closes up this gap. If it can close this gap here up towards that space, I'll take some profits and look to see if it can continue running right back up to the upside. BJ Wholesale Club. And I recently became a member. So why not? If I shop there, why not maybe trade it? This doesn't look too bad. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look into the sectors. I do have some other swing trades on. Of course, I still have Deer on. That one kind of got a little bit of an up move, then pulled back here. Pre-market had a move there towards 410s. I'm looking to see if this can hang on here, especially the hourly pattern, and make a move there towards 416, 420s. Doesn't look too bad. Disney kind of pulling back today after a really nice Monday. Monday, this ripped higher towards 90.75. I have this from 89.13s. We'll look to see if Disney can continue higher. Right now, it doesn't look bad. It's holding 89.50 pullbacks. So for right now, if it doesn't close below 89.50s, it's looking good for me. And then I'll look for a push right back through that 91 into the space up there towards 93. We can look to sell some into the 94s, 95s, and then look to see if it closes the gap towards 100. All right, we'll see what other ones. And if you're looking for some small cap stocks, stick around. We'll take a look at some of those. Smash a like, of course, over 100 of you guys out there. Let's keep going into the market and see what we can find underneath the hood. All right, let's go into the sectors and the industries. I still got one or two more trades that I can talk about, but I'll get through them into the stocks. Let's go to the rotations and see what we see in the market. Utilities getting a nice little up move today. If you could take a look here on the weekly, you're starting to approach a little bit of a push. I normally don't trade utilities, but this does look like it's starting to set up now for a nice little push higher. We'll look to see if this can start reclaiming and starting to push towards the 670s. Stocks there you guys can start looking at. Of course, we can take a look at like Nextera Energy. This doesn't look too bad here on the chart. Let's take a look at the monthlies. Monthlies have a little bit of a pullback. Let's actually erase all this and take a look there. What stands out to me? Let's go to the weekly here as you're starting to see this kind of trend line approach. The only question is, can it really get moving here? One thing I can clearly see is there's definitely some buying that went on in that 74 space and slightly below that. So I'd put it down to like 73. A lot of support there. Now can start moving to the upside. This doesn't look too bad at all. Duke starting to come back, of course. I take a look at all these and we'll see if these come starting to push back. XEL is one that I look at also. And then if you want to take a look at some other names, there's some other ones out there. There's Dominion Energy. That's been hit as of late. Southern Company. This doesn't look too bad off that 70. Will it make a move back there towards 75 and start to push towards 77? That's Southern Company. And those are utility names. Another way to look at this is just the XLU, right? XLU with a nice little push higher. Will this actually start to get a little bit towards the upside? Real estate having a good day also. That's not really a space that I kind of trade often, but definitely keep your eyes on bigger names like PLD. This looks exactly kind of like that sector outlook. So if you're looking for real estate stocks that could go higher, this does not look too bad on a bullish sense. It just did a nice little move above 122s, pulls back today, now closed back above 125. It hasn't closed there, but it does look like it's going to be able to close that. And this looks pretty strong now. PLD, will it start getting going? Prologis and start making a move to 136? Doesn't look bad at all. Does anyone know what charts he's using? Yeah, I'm using TC2000. It's one of my favorite charting services, and the big reason for that is just finding what works for me, like visually. Visually, I find these charts really appealing. But like always, you go ahead and try to use whatever you like to do. And a lot of that helps me go through the sectors and the industries so that you know exactly what's moving and what isn't. That's what I'm really good at, is looking at rotation and trying to go with that. When I do that, that's my bread and butter, team, especially when it involves swing trading. All right, so let's keep going. We talked about some utility names. We'll look to see if those go higher. Some real estate names. You guys can look at AMT, American Tower, now just recently making a move here to 198. Has a real kind of bottoming outlook pattern, turned around off that 185. Now starting to make its way back towards maybe 200, make a little bit of a lift up. Also, Public Storage getting a little bit of a lift. This is not something that I trade often, but doesn't look too bad there. We'll look to see if it starts to make an uplift move here. SPG is the last one I'll kind of give you guys in this sector. This is also in retail. Looks like it's starting to get going here. I don't know too much about SPG, but the chart itself looks to me like you got out of this kind of bearish space. You made a move above 113. So maybe a little bit of a pullback towards 115 or 114, but looks strong right now, SPG. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other areas. Technology bouncing back and, of course, staying strong. As long as it can hold this 9 EMA, we're going to keep looking for this to have the upside outlook. So tech names don't want to turn around. And you can see that in some of the bigger names today. But it's a mixed signal today because we do have some downside action, some solar pulling back today. You got First Solar to reject that 196. This looks good for me now to kind of crack 185 and go lower. It might even come back here towards 175 and 170. Doesn't look too bad. SEDG rejecting that move towards 280s. We'll look to see if these solar names can get a little bit of a lift, but they do not look strong by any means. And all of them seem to be kind of just turning around right now. Doesn't mean that they can't just kind of get a little bit of an uplift, but they don't look strong right now. And I've been keeping an eye on like this JKS for so long. It just doesn't want to make the breakout move towards like 47, a little bit higher. I'll set that alert and just keep going. We'll look to see if solar stocks can get a little bit of a charge. Software infrastructure names, of course, Oracle getting a little lift today. Adobe is one that I'm thinking about taking a swing. This one hasn't done much right now. It's up towards the upside here, towards 488. This one could continue towards 500 and then push right back up there. So as long as this one's kind of curling off of that, I could risk off right now kind of like the 480s. So it doesn't look too bad here. I'm going to look for a little bit of a pullback towards 486, 485. If I can get that pullback, I'll take a shot there off Adobe for a little bit of a swing trade. And of course, with a stock like this, let's just be honest, it's $488. I'm not going to be able to get much of it, but I can give myself the room to try to get that nice risk to reward setup. So on a stock like this, right, what can we see? Well, on the daily, we can see an average of 13 points moved. So I don't need a lot of shares, right? If the stock is going to move 13 points. All right, we'll see what other stocks are going on in the chat. I see Generac getting mentioned multiple times. We'll take a look at that. So Adobe looking good there. PanW taking another leg higher. Man, I should have bought this 200 breakout and just rode this trend higher. This is one that I was definitely calling out for that 200 push. It was looking really nice, especially after it had broken to the upside on the monthlies and then continued to hold that 180, pushed higher. That looking like it'll push CrowdStrike higher. That's one that I would keep an eye out for the next move to get in here. So if I haven't caught PanW, I'll be looking for CrowdStrike to get hot in the next couple of days. Look for a move back towards 149, 150s. This one caught a little bit of support down there towards 142. Doesn't look too bad here. We'll look to see if CrowdStrike can make a move back there towards 160. ZS is another one, of course, you guys can keep an eye out. Zscaler, we'll look to see if this one makes a move back up through the 150s. Also, a little bit of a pullback. Now looks for the lift. And with that PanW move, I could see these probably starting to get a little bit of a push. We'll see what happens in cybersecurity. All right, let's go C3. Your thoughts? You're going to take a look at AI names? I'll help take a look at that. I have no problem. It's at least in this space, so we could take a look at it. A nice little push higher. The big thing here, guys, is that AI and C3 AI, I just don't see it having the long-term success that they're kind of planning out here. And this looks to me like kind of a little bit of a head and shoulder top. So I can't really come after it here, guys. That's the truth. I'm actually even going to erase all lines here to not having it like any outlook, right? And so to me, what is this is looking like? This is looking like a little bit of the shoulders, right? This could be your shoulder. This could be your head, period. And now you got your left shoulder, right shoulder. Now, the only thing that you got to kind of determine is where is your neckline? Neckline is so important when you're looking at this pattern, because if you don't have a neckline, well, to tell you the truth, then you're never going to know when to trigger into the trade. So we'll look for this to go back down below 36. Now, if this does get back above 44, then this negates this trade and it's right back higher through the highs here through 48. So Of course, like always, there's two sides of the coin. Just know what side of coin you are on. All right, let's keep going. We'll take another look. If you got any other stocks, of course, throw them up in the chat. Boba Plays talking about C3AI. And the big thing for me, yeah, get back out of this pattern, out of this topping look. And of course, attack the daily. Get back up there to the 42s, 44s, and then you'll be looking like you want 50s. Right now, it did make a nice little turnaround, though, from the 36 area. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks out there. We can get into some stocks that you guys want, but keep them going in the chat. I did have one technology name that is in the red, so let's talk about that. That's going to be Intel here, and it's pretty close to stopping me out. Just kind of give you guys the outlook. I will get out on this through the 3250s. If that does break, I'm going to get out on Intel. Grabbed this on Friday, actually, and I'm looking for this to get right back up there. Grabbed it at 33.38. So let's see if this can get back up there. If it breaks 3250s, I want out. All right, names that are going down, Micron, and that just shows me that you got to be careful, right? Because they did come out with some earnings, and they started getting whacked. Eventually, this trade's going to turn around, but this tech trade right now doesn't want to be stopped and could keep pushing higher. We'll see what happens to some of the Q's names and if they want to keep going to the next level. One stock that's in technology, but it's really in consumer electronics. We'll look to see if it goes higher. I still have Turtle Beach, HEAR. I've heard multiple people say that Corsair Gaming also looks good. I'm also keeping an eye on Logitech, looking to see if this can continue going higher. If this can continue pushing, I think we'll get that trade in here. We'll keep an eye out on Logitech, Corsair, and of course, HER, Turtle Beach. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks out there. A lot of people have wheat allergies. I'm okay with corn. Hey, we'll see what happens there. What are you guys taking a look at? Cashed on BTAI. There you go, Smoke Tuna. Get that money. That's all you can ever do. All right, let's keep going. We'll get out of my trades. We'll go to the healthcare area. How's that performing on the day? Biotech's getting a little bit of a lift on the day. And it's not the biggest move there. Diagnostics and research also. Drug manufacturers, the big boys. Lilly continuing to push higher. Merck actually pushing back after that nice little recent lift into the 115 area. So I'd keep an eye out on this. Will this be able to hold the 113.50s and push right back up there towards 115? Doesn't look too bad here. It is going sideways. AZN having a decent day. AbbVie pushing right back towards 137. This one doesn't look too bad. Pfizer in the red there. And there's a couple of them not doing too bad here. Some lower names. Gilead getting a little bit of a push here from 77. This has pulled back significantly here. So Gilead doesn't look too bad off the 76 area. The only question is, do we come after it now, or do we wait for it to come back here towards kind of like this trend line and then go for it? It's been in kind of like this little down channel. I'm looking to see if this can just start making a move back here towards 80. 80 would be a little bit better to kind of get into it and then maybe risk off to 76. Not try to front the move too much. Look for that push back here, especially like a nice little move back towards 80. And then we can look for that scoop right back into the 79.50 area for a little bit of a move higher. We'll see if Gilead can make that type of move where it goes up, comes back, and then goes for the reload for the move higher. Definitely smash the like out there. If you guys got any ticker you guys want me to check out, this is your chance. Throw it up in the chat. And like always, hit that thumbs up. Let's keep it going. Of course, we're talking about some healthcare names. You guys can take a look at some of these. We'll see if they finally do turn around. Bristol Myers has been a lagger as of late. Amgen getting a little bit of a lift. What's up with some different ones in biotech? Let's go to some bigger biotech names. They have been turning around to the downside. So I just wanted to keep a look at these. NVO, VRTX, Regeneron trying to come back. Moderna trying to come back and just hanging on the support. We'll look to see if these can actually make a run. These don't look too strong today. Maybe just some to keep an eye out for. This one doesn't look that bad. Tech. I don't know this one. Maybe do a little research. And a lot of times charts just stand out to me. Looks like this one recently just had a 4-for-1 split. So that might be why I don't normally trade it. It was probably trading around like almost $500. What do you guys know about tech, biotech in corp? Seems interesting here, especially off the monthly support seems to be holding around 70.35. This is one that I'll keep on my radar. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't know tech even before today. That's how you find stocks, guys. You work backwards and you just might find one. All right, I'll take some stocks from the chat here, and then we'll keep going with some more stocks from the rotation. Like always, you guys run the show here, so drop them up. T being talked about, AT&T. When's the dividend coming in for AT&T? I haven't taken a look at when's the next dividend or ex-dividend date, but it has been having a huge pullback. One thing that I think is a huge negative for AT&T is what? DirecTV. DirecTV is going to go out of style like it ain't no tomorrow. Why do I think DirecTV is going out of style? Because no more Sunday ticket, or at least you're not going to probably see as many people on the Sunday ticket as before, right? Sunday ticket moving over there to YouTube. And so there's one thing that I think could drive Google even higher is YouTube's TV. As you see, those numbers come in August and September, but we're almost there, right? We're in July 5th. So really quickly, we're going to start seeing a little bit of an uplift. And that's why I will keep an eye out on even stocks like DraftKings going into the NFL season. And man, DraftKings has not turned around. My friend got it at like almost 10, 11. So I've been telling them, man, you're brave for holding on. But to tell you the truth, this is holding on. We'll see what happens there in DraftKings. AT&T is what we were talking about. So DirecTV, I just don't see it as being a driver. I see that actually as being something that hurt AT&T, and this could be coming down even further. I just don't like AT&T. I know it has a good dividend, but hey, who wants a stock that just continues going down? All right, let's go to some of the other ones. DWAC, you DWACers out there want to take a look. Let's take a look already. I can't blame you guys. That made a huge run there towards 1550s. Let's go to the 5-minute outlook here. It looks like it just got a huge spike, right? And one thing that I would look at is the hourly pullback that it gave you in the pre-market. So be careful, team. One thing that I always look at when I'm looking at these smaller names is looking for hourly pullbacks. So in the pre-market, you had a resistance around the 1344s. Maybe you round this up. Maybe you say 1350s, right? So there you go. We'll set that line there a little thicker. And then what do? You take a look to see if you're going to come back towards that 1350. You get a spike there to 1575 at the open. What happens here? First hour of the day, you come down there to 1356. So this is how I like to attack these, because now if I'm going off that 1350s and I was looking for a pullback buy there, I can go off of that and maybe risk what, 20 cents for a move to go back up there about $1.82. I'll do that anytime there. So not a bad there trade if you got it off the 1350. The next hourly candle goes right to 1346. You could have got in there, let's say 1356, 1355, or maybe you were patient and you waited for the 1350 break and you got the 1350 there. Now look at where you're at. You're at 1506. That's how I come after these. If you're going to go after a DWACer like this, and a lot of the times, what do you need? You need news to keep it going. You can see spikes like this. This is what you want in a stock like DWAC. We'll see if this is able to hold and get to the next level, back up through that 1575 and continue through the 16. We'll see. These spikes are very short-lived, as you can see on the DWAC chart. So I'm not saying that it's going to continue to 16. I'm just telling you how maybe I could have come after it today off a 5 or a 15-minute chart. Wouldn't have been too bad. Even an hourly chart could have been nice. All right, we'll see what happens. DWAC squeeze starting. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Definitely got a nice little lift. All right, let's keep going. We'll take another one here. Poach wants to take a look at the Wayfair. Wayfair pulling back fast today. But this stock has made a huge run, right? Last time this stock made a huge run, what happened to it? It also fell off a cliff. So understand that patterns are repeatable. And a lot of the times, yes, The pattern's not going to be the same thing, but patterns a lot of the times will be kind of close to how they trade. And look at this: pop and drop, pop and drop, pop, and now dropping. So be careful out there, team. That's just how Wayfair goes. And you can see it. Every time it pops, it comes leaking right back down. So we'll look to see if this does leak and continue to leak. A move through 60 will really show that. Big red move and bearish engulfing candle today at the top there. You guys can see it there on Wayfair. Not what you want to see on the pullback there. Now you're just hoping to see if it can hold around the 62s on pullbacks. We'll look to see if Wayfair turns around. Let's go to Qualcomm as you get another question in the chat there. I see you guys out there. Smash it up. Appreciate you guys throwing in some stocks, and I'll keep it going. If you guys want to take a look at some other ones, this is your chance. Keep them going here. And brought to you by a little bit of some body armor. No, not really. They don't sponsor me just yet, but maybe one day they will. All right, let's keep going. We'll go into a different outlook here. We wanted to take a look at Qualcomm. This is one that I'm keeping an eye out for, but it's not going with the strength right now. And I think you got to keep an eye on it because right now there is some semiconductors that are going down. There's some semiconductors that are going up. I think this is one that's in the middle of the line. It hasn't determined and it hasn't gotten that AI run just yet. So does it mean that Qualcomm doesn't have an AI play? By no means. It definitely has an AI play. It just hasn't run yet. And so in my eyes, I'm keeping an eye on it. I do want to see it kind of get the lift, but I need to get it up here towards this 125. So that's what I would be watching the next couple of days. Can we get a push back into the 125s? If it gets to 120s and starts to push into like the 121, 122s, that's when I'll start to try to join the party. Right now, it looks like it's on a little bit of a pullback, fighting here a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern right in between this to try to get back into that gap and go into the 125. We'll look to see if Qualcomm can go higher. Let's go to Square, or should I say Block. Let's go to Square here as they're pushing through the 69 spot. I actually had this one for a while. I had Square down here from 61, sold it in the 67 handle. It came back to 62. Probably should have bought it back, but I went for PayPal also. And this is one that I think could continue going now. It pulled back recently, now got the lift right back up there to 69. This one could continue pushing with Square. So Square to 70 was a big outlook for me for a while. Now I'm looking to see if it can fill this gap to the upside back there to 72.50s. If it can fill that, we'll see what happens. First stop is 70. That's where I was going to take some profits. Now I'll look to see if it gets to 72. Square looking strong right now. Maybe I can play it on a day trade, but that looks like it's left the station. All right, we'll keep going. BTAI, I'll take a look at that for you. Smoke tuna, it's up there towards 11. What a turnaround on that stock today. Continuing higher. And the hourly chart, never really getting weak. Nice little expansion here also on the recent hourly candle. All right, didn't YouTube land the NFL deal? Hell yeah, they landed the NFL deal, and they'll take that money too. All right, Michael, you're sounding the alarm for UNG. Oh, good Lord. The UNG and the Boyle traders. We'll see, man. We'll see. I still don't believe it. This is why. It comes up, it rejects, man. It just keeps playing this game until you see it get through this red line. I talked about it. This was my red line for UNG. Let it get back up there. If not, I'm not trading that to the long side. I ain't even looking at it, man. Boyle, the same thing. We'll do it a little bit higher for Boyle. We're going to do it up here towards these resistance. I'm going to say 77 is that line for me for Boyle. Until it gets back to 77, I think this could go lower. And I don't want to be in front of this. All right, we'll keep pushing. Vape King, I've never bought anything from Wayfair. There's so many people that buy from Wayfair. You'd be surprised. And the other day, I actually saw a little bit of a TikTok of like some platform. They were doing a little bit of a barbecue. It was kind of sad, man. The thing just gave out. Just, bah! There goes the flooring. But hey, you got to be careful. with what you buy from Wayfair. Doesn't mean that everything from them is trash, but I have seen some things kind of break pretty quickly. Snow pulling back after all those mentions. They gave like 3 or 4 days of AI mentions. They mentioned Nvidia. They mentioned Microsoft. They came out with new products. They did just about everything to get this stock going. And really, what is it doing? I think it's kind of just on a pullback. It's just sideways right now. It hasn't really kind of broken down, but it's holding around the 170 level. That's around the level that I'd be keeping an eye out for, because if it breaks 170, it isn't going to be looking good. We'll look to see if this turns around and gets back up there through the 180, 185, and 190s. You had made 1 or 2 attempts to get up there into the 190s. Let's see if we can make another turnaround. Get a nice day for Snow. Of course, this could go higher when you see a stock like CrowdStrike get that lift to 152. So these aren't stocks that I would not keep on my radar. These are stocks that I got to keep watch, especially if they're mentioning AI names, right? So for me on Snow, a recovery of 178 would be something I'd keep an eye out for. Down here at 173 doesn't interest me too much as long as it keeps 170, but back up through 180s, and this is looking a lot better. All right, let's keep going. I can take a look at some other names, and you guys keep them going as long as you guys smash up those likes. That's what it's all about. That's why I'm able to take some more, because you guys smash it up. Oracle, looking at Oracle pulling back here. Will it get into this gap? That's your support. That's your line in the sand right now, at least for the short term being. And if it breaks that, yeah, you might want out. But if it can hold that, maybe it can make that 121 run up to 123. This hasn't been looking the best as of late. You can see here on the weekly, just pulling back, and could crack that, maybe get to the 9 and then find the bounce. The only question is, do you want to stick around for that type of move? A move here towards like kind of 112 and then finding the bounce? I know I wouldn't. But to each his own, right? To each his own. Frey talked about in the chat, Fryer Battery. I need to get another interview with this company. I had a pretty interesting one the first time. We'll see if this can lift back up there through the 950s and hold the gap. That's the only thing that I'd be watching now. If it does get into the gap, you're not looking good. And a move back above, I would say 960s here would be looking really good, especially if you can get above this trend line outlook. And let's go to the 4-hour chart so we can see this a little bit clearer. So you can see how you kind of made this move up to 975, rejected that, came back through the 9. Let's see if we can make that move back through 975 and go higher on Frey. All right, I see a lot of comments coming in there. I'm going to try to get there towards the bottom, but smash it up out there, team. You guys enjoying it? Hammer said, I'm not on vacation and wish I was. Me too, man. I wish I was on vacation. I wouldn't mind taking another cruise, even right now. All right, let's go to another one here. AMD mentioned in the chat, and appreciate the smash liked out there. AMD was one I lost on today in the day trading game. I tried to take a shot there off the bottom. It just did not work out there for me. Let's take a look here at AMD is now pulling back there to 114.40s. You can see what I was looking at earlier today. I was looking for a little bit of a flag action right back up there towards 116.50s, 117. We did not get that flushing there through that 115.71, getting out on that 115.71 and taking a little bit of a hit there on AMD. But hey, that's all you can do sometimes. And that's just how the luck happens sometimes. NVIDIA went higher, but AMD didn't really partake in the rally. And that's not a good thing for AMD. That's showing me weakness and rejection from this prior support. And so the prior support was around the 117, 118 level. We're rejecting that level now, going back through, especially a close below 115.80s. This low here from this pattern here is not a good move there. 115.80s, we're at 114.36. This looks like it could come right back down to 110 and 108. Just fill the gap right back to the downside. So just be careful out there with AMD. A quick turnaround on AMD today as it starts using prior support as resistance. All right, let's keep going. Tesla about to get to 284. How's the Tesla dragon? Almost there towards 284. And I mean, this has just been wicked move right back to the upside. You got to be careful on Tesla. It can remain strong. And if we watch recently, it got all the way up there to an RSI. I have an RSI reading of 96. So 96 are pretty high up there. We'll look to see if it gets back up to that reading, but definitely big push there in Tesla, closing the gap and just looking like it wants almost 311. We'll see if it can get back up there. This is almost back to the 3-for-1 split back in kind of the 22, right in this time, right into August, right? So it's almost already back from that 3-to-1 split. And that was in this period here. And so right over here, you did a little bit of a split. We're almost there. We'll see if it gets to the 300 spot as Tesla keeps just chugging along. All right, let's keep going. We can take a look at some other names, and you guys keep those names going. I see you guys in the chat. You guys aren't stopping with names today. What do you think of the SPX tomorrow? I'm very bullish on that one. SPX, of course, you're looking at the S&P 500. And you can also just like look at the SPY, right? We'll see if this can continue going higher. I think you just got to look for the lows today to kind of hold the 441 level. If that can hold, maybe you can get that next push higher. Disney, thoughts? I already talked about that one, Allison. I actually have it on a swing, full disclosure. I have it from 89.13s, looking for a move higher. Don't really want this to close below 89.50s. It's been down there multiple times today. I would like for it to hold above that. Close even towards 90s would be looking really well. All right, we'll look to see what happens there on the Tesla Dragon. And Disney, can it go higher? Disney Plus, can we hear some good mentions about the resorts? Are you swing trading Wynn Resorts? I'll take a look at that, Pittsburgh. Let's go. What do you think about Pittsburgh Steelers this year? You think they're going to be a little bit better? Let me know, Pittsburgh. All right, let's take a look here at Wynn Resorts, of course. Are they winning? They recently had a huge drive. Now starting to turn around. I'll look for this to kind of come back towards like the 200. This has made a huge run. You see how the 50 was acting as support and then eventually started acting as resistance here? That tells me a little bit there that this could pull back here towards kind of the 200, kind of the 93.29. I see a pullback towards kind of like 95s and 94s making sense here. So that's what I would be looking at. This actually looks like a little bit of a short for me. And so I could look at like LVS also as a short, right? And then look, I go to this chart immediately, think the same thing, right? About to break this supporting trend line. And if it breaks that, could continue going lower towards 54, 53, and 52. So we could start taking a look at resorts and casinos for a little bit of a turnaround trade here. So just be careful out there. Of course, we'll see what happens if resorts and casinos can come down. Of course, you're talking about cyclicals. We can take a look here at the casinos and gambling to see how if there's any other plays that we got to keep an eye out for. So let's get to that action there. Resorts and casinos. Let's go to the top ones. LVS, MGM turning around right now. Wynn turning around. Caesar turning around. Boyd Gaming. So it seems like this is an industry-wide move, at least from what I'm seeing on the charts. We'll look to see if they can pull back a little bit, but definitely this doesn't look good here for resorts and casinos as they start to pull back here. So even like LVS, not looking good right now. MGM, not looking good. All right, definitely smash it up out there. Appreciate you, mods. We'll see what else is going on. F-Wonk, nice run into the Grand Prix. I mean, I don't know, man. Is Formula One as good as it used to be? I mean, this looks like it at least continues climbing, Liberty. So at least it's a good long-term trend on F-Wonk. All right, let's keep it going. You guys don't stop today. How about X? You know what? You guys are taking over the show, and I don't mind it, right? That's what we're here for at the end, is for me to take a look at some stocks, maybe wave a red flag, a yellow flag here and there, and of course, for you guys to make your investment decisions. Now, U.S. Steel pulling back after that recent run. I had a feeling this was a little bit of a trick run, and there you guys see it. Nucor right back down and rejecting that move. Steel Dynamics rejecting that move also. So not Steel. that's not where I see it coming down. If anything, I see it on the downside. So just be careful out there, especially for your basic materials. Basic materials, the hardest hit sector today. It got hit pretty hard. And what is the hardest industry that got hit today? Of course, it's steel. And so be careful there, team. This one was looking like it wanted to get to the upside. And then as soon as it gets up to this level, what does it do? It just rejects. So it could catch a bounce in a couple of days. But for right now, this looks like a little bit of a turnaround to the downside. Coal is one that I've been watching here. Very similar, kind of rejecting back down. We'll look to see if this can hold. I've been thinking to see if BTU can get a little bit of a run, and it really hasn't. AMR, the leader, is staying strong, but really not taking that next step up either. So be careful out there. Copper doing the same, getting up there towards a nice little move. And then what does it do? Just turns around. So be careful out there, team, especially with these types of trades. Industrial metals and minerals. I wanted to see if this would get a little bit of a lift today, and it did. Not too bad. LAC now starting to come back. And what do we see here? 1, 2, 3. Now that fourth bottoming event there, and doesn't look too bad, as we now have what here at the bottom? A little bit of a Harmony cross. So this does look a little bit bullish. Would have to risk off the 1950s here or the 20 level. We already kind of got off the 20 levels today. So I'm going to be looking for pullbacks here for LAC coming back here towards 2025. If that could happen towards 2025, I don't mind taking a shot off, especially the 20 mark. So I'm going to keep this on my radar, even set an alert at 2041 there for Lithium Americas. All right, I can think about some other ones in this space. LTHM coming down today, MP coming down today. We'll see if these catch the bounce and make a step towards the upside. Of course, you guys can take a look at some other names, ALB, SQM. Those have been doing well and bouncing back as of late. SQM especially trying to get off this ground here. Did make a move up there towards 80, but then started to reject the continuation. All right, what else is being talked about in the chat? I see a lot of names, man. They don't stop here, and I love it in the chat. You guys keep it going. Steel's a good play on pullback unless you think there won't be build back better. And laugh out loud. We'll see what happened on that. How are stocks like Tesla going higher in a period of quantitative tightening? This market makes no sense at all. That's the truth. The truth is, markets don't need to make sense. This is 100% a fact. Most people think that the market is like, there's like a recipe to the market. The truth is, there is no recipe to the market. The market changes, and the market is an ever-changing environment. If you don't stick around with the current environment that you're trading, well, you're going to get run over. This is a clear example in Tesla. For a while, what were we focusing on? Oh, well, the PE is too high. The PE is too high on Tesla, and that's why it's going to keep coming down through the 100. It's going to 50. It's going to 30. And then what happens? Quick turnaround. And what do you see happen? Well, all of a sudden, now the current environment is what? Tech going higher, AI bubbles. And what do you see? You see Tesla start to mention AI. And that's when this really starts to turn around and starts to make a drive. And now valuations don't matter anymore. Who cares about valuations? Look at NVIDIA. Do you think they care about valuations right now? No, they don't. They throw them out. They throw them out the water. They say, you know what? You got this book here. Let's tear that up into pieces. That's the truth. The market doesn't play the logical game. And if that's what you think, the truth is you're going to struggle, because I've struggled too thinking about the logical game and why a stock like NVIDIA is up at 423, why a stock like Tesla can keep pushing higher, right? Why a stock can squeeze, like even some of the weirdest names, right? Like, how's Carvana surviving through this period, right? All those types of questions. Well, the truth is, sometimes fundamentals matter, sometimes they don't. Sometimes technicals matter, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the story is everything. And the story right now is all about AI, 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 AI. Microsoft was down there towards the bottom. It started making AI names. It got all the way to the top, all the way back there. So that just goes to show you that the truth is that a lot of times we want to make sense of the market. We want a recipe to the market. The truth is there is none. You can read all the books you want. It's never going to be 100% in a book. And how you can see the market, what? You got to stay with the current environment. That's the hard part. So always ask yourself that question. What is the current environment that I'm in? And what type of stocks get appreciation or depreciation from that current environment? This is straight gold for you. Just take it, man, and take a look at that. Think about that, right? I've struggled for a long time. And is it logical or illogical? The truth is, it's always going to be illogical, because the truth is, if you try to make it logical, well, it isn't going to work out 100% of the time, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going on. And the famous line, right, Hammer? The markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, unless you're Kathy Wood. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll see what else is going on out there. The market is like your rich uncle. Never makes sense, but always loaded. Tesla's not a car company. It's a tech company. It makes cars to generate R&D research, of course, Corey says. Yeah, I'm sure. And that's why it can have like a 60 or 200 times earnings, right? We'll see. You know how it is. And Hammer saying Tesla makes no sense. That's the truth. The truth is there is no sense. We should read a blog on the book club. That's how it is, man. AMD, we'll take a look at that too. But it is going to happen, guys. And the truth is that we have to find our way to always ask ourselves, what is this current environment we're in and where is it going? Well, that's going to wrap it up today. 4:04. I stayed a little bit of overtime there to talk about that topic. I thought it was an important one. Keep a lookout in the market. We'll see what happens. Of course, it's a little bit of a dull period, so we could just keep pushing higher. We'll see what happens in the market. Catch me tomorrow bright and early on pre-market prep. I got to go get a little bit of a haircut. Got to get a little bit fresh. I'll see you guys bright and early. Smash the thumbs up. Let me know what you guys like about this show, what you guys don't like. Some changes coming soon to right here on Start Swing Trade. And Alexandra, hey, I'm out here, man. And if you need any questions and you want to talk about the markets, feel free to hit me up at MoneyBitchBZ. And it's not to kind of attack your comment. Trust me, I've thought about it a million times. This stock move doesn't make sense. The truth is, it doesn't need to make sense. Let's not try to always make the market logical. Let's just focus on what the environment is and where the opportunities are next. We'll see you next time, team. Smash the like up. Let's keep going.